There's no place like home. There's no place.
Home. Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.
Well, hi there. Welcome to Home Wizards, where we love to help improve your home and improve your life. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And where are we?
We are in beautiful, my hometown, Chicago, Illinois, and we are at this amazing convention here. Tell them what
well,
it is.
It's called KBIS, and it is probably the world's biggest kitchen and bath show. It goes on every year, bringing together designers, manufacturers, some consumers as well, and it's a sneak peek, if you will, into what the next year holds, and maybe several years hold for us and our homes and the spaces we call home in terms of what we want, what we should want for our kitchen and bath.
Right, and we always start to see trends emerge. This is the exciting part of coming to shows like this. You get a chance to see what brands and manufacturers are thinking is the most important stuff that we have to offer now in the world of home improvement and design. So I love coming here.
It's great,
Yeah.
and it's we're going to give you a sneak peek over the next 2 hours of all the different goodies and things. I mean, the new innovations, the different tweaks to appliances. What is it that the different age groups, the different generations are wanting as we live together in different ways, and how do we make that a special, comfortable place?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, we're seeing now. I think this is unusual. We're seeing different age and demographic groups honored in terms of how brands are designing. You know, so you have your baby boomers, which are now called Zoomers, because we're not babies anymore. No, we're zooming.
We're
zooming.
We're zooming, and the X generation.
Yeah,
and
then
the
there's
now
a generation that's the 20-year-old folks that are going to be the folks that are buying the most product in the next couple of years. So it's really interesting to see how brands kind of participate in this idea.
And these shows are always so important. This is what Eric and I love to do, is we travel the country to bring this information to you. What is kind of the pulse of the country? What are we going to spend our money on? What should we spend our money on? What makes sense? And you hear, but the different buzz terms, like the whole green thing. It's still there, but it feels like it's not used in that way.
Right.
It's more about sustainability.
You know what it feels like to me? I think folks were trying to figure out a way to encapsulate that terminology so that we could then use that to transfer to consumers, right? But consumers, I don't think were responding to it as favorably. And so now it's been sort of redesigned and retooled just in terms of the language of what it means to be green. And I think folks were scared because there's always a price point difference. And now it's, I think, becoming more integrated and a universal aspect of design and stuff.
And something else that we're seeing, and they'll be talking about throughout the next couple hours, is how technology is really finding its way throughout our homes in terms of the kitchen, the bath, the convenience, how it's not just a luxury, it's a necessity, right?
Right.
Because we want to have all of our electronic devices at the ready.
Well, you know what it's doing? It's taking that whole idea of, honey, where's the remote? Wait, I can't program the VCR. So
where's my phone charger?
Who cares about, yeah. And it's kind of integrating all these things in smart technology that's not so overwhelming that you can't figure it out.
Exactly.
That was always my pet peeve with all the original design on it. Sure, it worked, but you had to have a degree from MIT in order to turn your television on.
So that's good news.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing that from a designer's perspective. In fact, we should point out that one of the key themes here at the Kitchen and Bath Show is the importance, when you do hire a professional to help you, to hire a specially trained kitchen and bath designer. Why? Well, it's a niche, and we're going to get into those details just a second, but as I learned in my own kitchen project, it's more than just a regular designer. It is a whole nother ball of wax, because there's special decisions that have to be made, more of an understanding to those really important spaces.
Yeah, and sometimes in the world of kitchen and bath design, if you had a contractor or designer that was not accredited or certified, sometimes you'd guess right. But for the most part, I think that without this kind of understanding of how things should be laid out, there's an ergonomics to it that really makes it feel like the design is honoring the family that's living there. So without it, I think you're in trouble.
And not only that the design looks great, but that the bones of the place functions properly, and that you don't get caught in making some inexpensive mistakes. And back to the technology thing, the whole social media world is really, from Pinterest to Facebook to whatever we're doing, we as consumers are so smart, we're not taking that knowledge to our designers and saying, okay, this is what we want. We want this and this and this. I mean, it's not just a notebook.
You can't be a designer anymore and not be tech savvy because all the information and the ideas that you're trying to impart to your designer and back and forth are coming through the internet. So everybody's, I think, plugged in. Finally.
Well, let's talk to a guy who's very plugged in. He's plugged in with us right now. He is Jim Scott with what's called KBIS, and KBIS stands for the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. So, Jim, thanks for you've been nodding your head. You agree so far.
Well, thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah.
I think we need to hire you guys full time to promote the show because you've got all the major points down.
Okay,
one
you're done.
after
Goodbye.
Another. Okay, thank you very much. No problem.
Seriously, though, for those who are just new to learning about what the whole idea of hiring a trained, especially trained kitchen and bath designer means, what is that? Why is that important?
Well, I think you hit a lot of the nails on the head, but I think the most important thing is you live with an investment in kitchen and bath for a long time. So not only is it all about the dollars and cents you might spend and having a professional help you make good decisions, but it's also that feel that you have when you're finished. I mean, a kitchen is much more than a room in a house today. It's really about your lifestyle, how you live. You have your children, in many cases, doing homework in the kitchen.
I thought you were going to say you're having your children in the kitchen.
Well, that's probably possible, too. I have
that's called universal design and birthing.
That's true, yeah. Well, I have 8 grandchildren, so I have no idea where they were conceived.
I got to touch you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's great. So, and they've all lived with us at various times too.
Yeah.
There's good and bad news.
There is. But I think again that whole lifestyle, that comfort, the things you do in your home, in your kitchen, I think are such an important part of capturing in a design effort, and certainly a professional and KBIS certified kitchen designer.
And it's not just a cliche. I mean, it's a real thing.
It is absolutely. I don't know if anybody ever tried to go buy a kitchen one morning. It's like you don't get up and say, hey, I think I'm going to go out and buy a kitchen this morning and I'll have it done.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way. So it's not only, again, complex, but you want a good result.
I always love to ask this to folks that do design. Why is the kitchen what it is? Why did we all of a sudden take it from essentially a butler's pantry
where we're hiding
food because it's oh my God, don't see the food before it's done, to now it's an open area where everybody
it's an experience. Yeah,
why is
we
that?
all participate.
Well, for one thing, we can't afford the servants anymore. So, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is a couple things. One, I think there's a lot of collective activity around cooking. It's an experience. People like to cook together. People like to come together and cook, so you need a bigger space to be able to do that. And when you bring people into your home and you do things like that, you want to be in a space that you're proud of.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all about design. It's about look. It's about how it functions. I love to cook. I'm the cook of the house. So, I look at a kitchen very differently than someone might look at it from if they're primarily entertaining and they don't necessarily do that much cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so
now question. I'm also the cook of the house.
Okay.
But I think I got the raw end of the deal because I also have to clean up when I cook. I don't think that's fair.
No, it's not fair.
How do you do it?
It's you got to negotiate.
I delegate that part.
Will you call my wife?
I certainly will. Yeah. No.
I think you need a better negotiator.
I do.
No, when I'm done, I'm done, and then I get to walk away with like 1,000 dishes in the kitchen waiting to be washed.
Perfect. Much better.
Good.
Well, what are you feeling as you kind of put your mood sensor out there? Are you looking at the attitudes as being a little more encouraged as we're trying to feel better about the economy? And are we spending more money on our kitchens and baths, or is it that untouchable thing that maybe we'll do down the road?
Well, again, I spent my life in the industry, my career in the industry, and I kind of came back to KBIS because I love KBIS and I love the industry. And as I look at it, it's really, we're coming to grips with an industry that's very different than it was 4 or 5 years ago. And I think we're beginning to change that conversation and that perspective. So what I see around is really a more practical approach to the marketplace today. An opportunity to really present your brand in a way that makes sense in today's marketplace.
Right.
And you take a couple of booths like Pogan Pole and Sub-Zero. These are guys that have come back to the show.
Right.
Top brands. They're presenting themselves in a very, I think, appropriate way for today's industry.
And when you say come back to the show, just so people have some reference, there have been years when the economy was really tanking that a lot of these huge brands, I mean, from GE to Sub-Zero to whatever, just kind of shied away from coming to these trade shows because it's expensive, and they weren't sure if it was worth their while. They were kind of nervous, a little skittish, but now you're feeling that there's...
They feel better about what's going on in the economy today. They feel good about, I think, the energy, and we're trying to really change the conversation, and you guys hit on it really well in the opening. This whole idea of lifestyle, looking at the various generations, how they're approaching their home and their investment. This is something that as an industry we're beginning to come to grips with. This is our future. I like to look to the future, and I think we've got a very, very bright future.
Jim, give people a website where they can go. I know the KBIS website.
www.kbis.com.
Which has a great, just a great resource for starting your bath and kitchen research, right?
Great resource for information, the kinds of people that you need, the kinds of things you need to think about. It is, again, as we talked about, a complex project, and we've got all kinds of resources out there to help you get through that. And
to your point, too, I want to encourage people to stand in a well-designed kitchen and then stand in one that's not, and then that's why you're going to want to hire somebody who's who really actually knows what they're doing.
Are you talking about like standing in my kitchen versus yours?
How dare you?
No, both of ours are very... No. I'm just kidding, but we recently had a kitchen